Have you ever wondered what you'd do if you came back from a long, hard journey with nothing to your name? No money, no home, just the clothes on your back. That's exactly where our story begins, with a brave soldier marching home from war, his pockets completely empty but his spirit still strong. Little did he know, his life was about to change in a way he could never have imagined. As he walked down a long, dusty road, he met a very strange old woman. She wasn't just any old woman. She had a mysterious glint in her eye, and a proposition for him. She pointed to a massive, hollow tree nearby, and told him that inside lay a treasure beyond his wildest dreams. All he had to do was climb down into it and bring back an old tinderbox for her. In return, he could fill his pockets with as much gold and silver as he could carry. The soldier, having nothing to lose, thought, why not? So, he agreed. The old woman gave him her blue-checked apron and instructed him on what to do. He climbed down into the dark, hollow tree and found himself in a large hall lit by hundreds of lamps. He saw 3 doors, just as she had described. He opened the first door, and his jaw dropped. In the middle of the room sat a huge dog with eyes as big as teacups, staring right at him. The dog was sitting on a chest filled to the brim with copper coins. Remembering the old woman's words, the soldier spread her apron on the floor, lifted the dog onto it, and quickly filled his pockets with copper. He put the dog back on the chest and moved on. He went to the second chamber. This one was even more incredible. Another dog, this one with eyes as big as mill wheels, sat guarding a chest overflowing with silver coins. The soldier, now a bit more confident, did the same thing. He placed the dog on the apron, stuffed his pockets and his knapsack with shiny silver, and then respectfully put the dog back. He was already richer than he'd ever been, but there was still one more room to explore. He opened the third door, and his heart nearly stopped. A third dog, with eyes as big as round towers, guarded a chest full of pure gold. This was the real treasure. He carefully moved the enormous dog onto the apron. He was so excited that he threw out all the copper and silver he was carrying and filled every single pocket. His knapsack, his cap, and even his boots with gold coins. He was so laden with gold he could barely walk. Now, all that was left was to find that little tinderbox the old woman wanted. He found it lying on the floor, picked it up, and called up to her to pull him out. Back on solid ground, surrounded by his newfound fortune, the old woman demanded the tinderbox. "What are you going to do with it?" the soldier asked, suddenly suspicious. The old woman refused to tell him. She became angry and insistent, but the soldier wouldn't hand it over without knowing its secret. Their argument escalated, and in a moment of anger and self-defense, the soldier drew his sword. In the ensuing struggle, the old woman was tragically killed. The soldier, now alone with the gold and the mysterious tinderbox, decided to head to the nearest city to start a new life. He found the finest inn, ordered the best rooms, and bought the most expensive clothes. He was a rich man now, a gentleman. He made many friends, who all told him what a fine fellow he was, now that he had so much money. He lived a life of luxury, spending his gold freely. But fortunes, especially those spent so quickly, don't last forever. One day, he found himself with only a few coins left. He had to move from his grand suite to a tiny attic room. All his fine friends stopped visiting. He was alone and poor once more. One cold, dark evening, sitting in his small room, he couldn't even afford a candle. He remembered the tinderbox and the small piece of flint inside. He thought, maybe I can strike a light with this. The moment he struck the tinderbox, sparks flew, and in an instant, the dog with eyes as big as teacups appeared before him. "What is your command, master?" the dog asked. The soldier was stunned. He cautiously asked for some money, and poof! The dog vanished and returned moments later with a large bag of copper coins. The soldier finally understood the tinderbox's true power. He tried it again. 2 strikes, and the dog that guarded the silver appeared, ready to obey. 3 strikes brought the giant dog that guarded the gold. He could have anything he wanted. He was rich again, and moved back into his splendid apartment. He could summon his magical helpers whenever he needed anything. But even with all the wealth in the world, he felt a strange loneliness. He had heard tales of a beautiful princess in the city, kept locked away in a castle because a prophecy said she would marry a common soldier. The soldier became obsessed with the idea of seeing her. One night, he had an idea. He summoned one of the dogs and commanded it to bring the princess to him. The dog whisked her away from her bed as she slept and brought her to the soldier's room. She was even more beautiful than he had imagined. He couldn't resist giving her a gentle kiss before the dog returned her to the castle, completely unaware of her nighttime journey. The next day, the princess told her parents about a strange dream of riding on a dog's back and being kissed by a soldier. The queen, being very clever, was suspicious. The next night, she had an old lady-in-waiting sit by the princess's bed. When the dog came again to fetch the princess, the lady-in-waiting followed them, marking the door of the soldier's house with a chalk cross. But the dog was clever too. It saw the cross and marked every single door in the city with a similar cross. The next morning, the king and queen were baffled to see crosses on every door. The queen, not one to give up, devised another plan. She filled a small silk bag with flour and tied it to the princess's back, making a small hole in it so it would leave a trail. That night, the dog came again, but this time, the flour left a clear path right to the soldier's door. The next day, the soldier was arrested and thrown into prison. He was condemned to be hanged. In his dark cell, with no hope left, he heard the sounds of a crowd gathering outside for his execution. He saw a young boy running past his window and called out to him, "Hey lad, if you run to my old room and bring me my tinderbox, I'll give you 4 shillings. The boy, eager for the money, dashed off and returned with the tinderbox, just in time. As the soldier was led to the gallows, he made one final request. He asked if he could have one last smoke, a final wish for a dying man. The king, seeing no harm in it, agreed. The soldier took out his tinderbox and struck it. 1, 2, 3 times. In a flash, all 3 magnificent dogs appeared before him, their eyes blazing. "Save me!" the soldier cried. The dogs sprang into action. They tossed the judges and the counselors into the air. They seized the king and queen and threw them so high they shattered into pieces. The royal army was terrified and fled. The people, amazed by this display of power, shouted for the soldier to be their new king and to marry the beautiful princess. And so, the poor soldier who started with nothing became the king. He rode through the city in a royal carriage, with the princess by his side. The 3 magical dogs sat at the wedding feast, their enormous eyes watching over the new king and queen. The story teaches us that courage and cleverness can change your destiny. But it also reminds us that with great power comes great responsibility. The soldier learned to use his magic wisely, not just for wealth, but to win his freedom and his love. What do you think of this incredible story? A tale of ups and downs, magic, and destiny. It just goes to show you never know what's waiting for you around the next corner. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the world of fairy tales, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more amazing stories. See you next time.